It's like an obstacle course of poop. Hi everyone, welcome to Jim Runs and Stuff. My name is Jim, and today we're going to talk about week 6 of my Kodiak 100 50K training plan. So let's dive right into it. A lot of this week is very similar to last week as far as mileage goes, the runs go. The only real difference this week was in what the intervals I had to do were and how those deviated from last week. For the most part, kind of came into the week feeling really tired and not sure how I was going to do with the mileage. But ultimately, I think I did pretty well. One of the great things this week is that the race organizers for the Kodiak 100 finally put up the 50K map. There was some question of whether or not it was going to follow the same map as it had previously. I'd already downloaded that map and studied it really inside and out as much as I could. But it was nice to see the final map go up. I was actually really happy to see that one of the big climbs that was in previous years is gone. So there's pretty much from the way that the elevation map looks, it looks like it's a pretty good ramp right at the beginning, and then a bunch of undulation throughout the course, ending with another big downhill right at the end, like a lot of races tend to be. All that's to say is that I'm actually really excited to try out a new course and see what comes of it. Obviously, I'll bring you guys along with me. It'll be interesting to actually film during the race. I'm looking forward to that. All right, enough of all this. Let's get into the week. Monday was yet another rest day. Nothing crazy. The great thing with this week was that it was the first week that my kids went back to school. So that plus being able to take a vacation day from work, I was actually able to rest, I think, better than I have most of the summer. And then also I was able to take the time to edit last week's video and learn a new video editor. So I've been really excited about that, kind of updating my knowledge base from where I was many years ago. Hopefully the content has looked better. Last week's content looks better. Still figuring out the rendering settings on the output. Tuesday was another 4 miles around the house. Again, nothing crazy. The big difference here was that pretty much since I started running, I've always used the run-walk method, or the Jeff Galloway method it's also known as. But when I started running again last year, I didn't focus on any particular interval time. Normally with the run-walk method, you run for 5 minutes, walk for a minute, things like that. So instead, I've always, ever since I started running again last year, I've not followed any specific interval period. I would just run until I got tired, and then I would walk again until I felt ready to run again. And obviously not the best way to go about it. It made for some very slow miles. Looking at my Strava history, looking at my minutes per mile, obviously we started out like really high, and it started to come down. But this week I decided I was kind of done with that. I needed to be a little bit more regiment in how I handled my intervals. And so I decided to try a half-mile run, 30-second walk interval. And this actually felt great. I know I could do a mile. I've done a mile. But I've felt that my consistency with what that mile timing ended up being was always kind of loose, where it would start out fast and then progressively slow down as my miles, as the run went on. But sticking with the half-mile run, 30-second walk actually worked really well. My mile consistency is probably some of the best it's ever been, which feels great. Now I know a lot of people are probably going like, oh, run-walk method, serious runners don't do that. The big reason that I've always stuck with that is that for most of my life now, I was a smoker. I was a fairly heavy nicotine user. It's not something I've talked about yet on the channel. And even when I started running back in 2016, it was always with this like ideal that I would quit at some point. I would really try. And I did at one point. I did actually quit cold turkey. I've done the nicotine patches. I've tried the nicotine gum, and always with some kind of middling success here and there, but nothing sustainable. There was always a reason to start smoking again. And then back before COVID in 2019, or 2020, I quit smoking cigarettes and I switched to vaping. And I did that for most of the COVID lockdowns and such. And then last year I decided I was tired of nicotine. I was tired of the way it made me feel, tired of how crappy it made my lungs. And so I went through a program and eventually quit nicotine altogether, and I have never felt better. I know a big part of that is that it also coincided with me starting my training again, and so a lot of different things kind of connected, and I just feel great. But unfortunately, my lungs are still recovering. Even a year plus into running and running seriously, it's still taking a lot. I do a lot of breathwork yoga to try to help my lung capacity, and it is helping significantly. It's just it's a road. You know, it's part of like the weight loss stuff. It is a journey. It is not the destination. I'll get there. It'll take a while. I abuse my body for a very long time, so it's going to take some time to fix it. All right, enough kind of sidetracking there. Wednesday, I'm still kind of getting used to the kids getting up in the morning and how that morning routine mixed with my morning routine and trying to get the run in on these days is going to work. It's, you know, unfortunately, it's still very hot here in Southern California. And so, you know, going for a run at lunch, which is one of my preferred times to do it, isn't happening. Not yet. Probably another couple months before that happens. So right now my options are either to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, depending on the distance, to get out to do the run, or waiting until my kids go to bed. And so I went ahead and did the run after the kids went to bed. This run was included a set of intervals. So it was a 2-mile easy run to warm up, followed by 4x30 fast paced intervals. I consider this probably like the 5K running pace, followed with a 1 minute easy running kind of in between, and then another 2 miles to wrap things up. During the first 2 miles, I was feeling great. And then going into the intervals, I was still feeling great. I felt great all the way through them. I was surprised with how fast I was able to do the intervals and how comfortable they felt to do. But as I came in for that nice 2-mile wrap up at the end, I was really starting to feel it in my knees and in my hips. Thursday was supposed to be cross training, and it wasn't. Unfortunately, I just woke up on Thursday extremely sore. My knees and my hips were super tight and actually kind of painful. It's pain I'm not used to having. So instead of pushing myself too hard, I decided just to, you know, take it easy a little bit, maybe push the cross training to Friday, and then did some painting around the house, which ended up being a lot more taxing and a lot more aerobic than I intended, as is often the case. Friday, I woke up still very sore, very stiff, and very tired, so I went ahead and just did another day of rest. This meant more time in the compression boots, some more breath work, and just resting, relaxing. And then Saturday came. And Saturday was actually a pretty good day. Saturday, I'm here at the Mountain Home Trail again. Got a nice 10-mile planned. Though instead of doing my usual 5 miles up, 5 miles back. I'm going to break it up a little bit. Plan is to do 3 miles up, 2 miles back, another 2 miles back up, 3 miles back home. Most of the trails out here tend to be uphill for X amount of miles and then downhill for that same amount. So obviously the race, which they just released the map for finally, isn't like that. Lots of ups and downs. So this is to kind of help with that, hopefully just get stronger, get more comfortable with taxing my legs at different intervals. We'll see. I'm also trying to run more of these uphills here just to get more comfortable with that. The freaking bugs will let me. Got plenty of water today, plenty of nutrition. Tried making my own gels, so today's the first experiment with those. Hope it goes well. Just tried my DIY running gel. Flavor, it's great. Consistency, pretty good. Packaging needs a lot of work. Pull it out for you. Using these Ziploc bags, and yeah, it doesn't look good. Kind of a pain to get out. So the run actually went really well. I was surprised how good things felt kind of going up that first ascent and then that first descent. Although funnily enough, about 3 minutes after I did my first turnaround, I was just flying down the trail, feeling really feeling okay, and caught a rock with my toe and just took off. Flew for a bit, thankfully landed in some soft sandy kind of gravel. Wasn't too bad. Just got a little bit of scrapes on my palms and my knee, a little bit on my hip, nothing major. Got up and continued running down for my 2 miles, and was actually really surprised at how good things felt. It was one of the better runs I'd had in a while, especially on that trail. But it was coming back up that second time, and then ultimately coming down, that I was really feeling it. It was again still very, very tired. My hips and my knees were just really, really sore, and I'm not used to that kind of feeling. It's very much that joint feeling, not the muscle fatigue. So I took it easy as much as I could. And that led me into Sunday. All All right, and that brings us to Sunday. Back here at the Carriage and Cocomaricopa Trails. Woke up today very sore, just tired. Take it a little easy. Today's plan is 6 miles. It's actually very similar to last week. So 6 miles at easy pace with some 4x30 hill repeats this time instead of speed work. There's actually a really good hill right up here I'm going to use. So probably end up being about 6.5, 6 3/4 miles by the time we get done. Be good. All right, and that about does it. Like I said, the week felt good, but also really bad at the same time. I finished things up on Sunday, just extremely exhausted. Spent some time on my boots and just rested as much as I could. Got into my usual recovery setup. Ultimately, I think it was a great decision not to go up into the mountains on Sunday and just stick to the Redlands trails. But you know, I'm really hoping that this pain that I'm feeling in my hips and my knees is gonna go away. If not, I'm just gonna have to start to dial things back a little bit. But that's the coming weeks. We'll see how that goes, see how I feel then. So next week, week 7 is, like I said, it's gonna have some back-to-back intervals. I'm really hoping to figure out this whole morning routine thing so that I can get some morning runs in. I really miss morning runs. And then I'm still not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the weekend runs. I have some ideas of what's going to happen and some other things that might pop up as well. Anyway, that's it for today, for this week. As always, I am not a coach or a medical professional, so please make sure that you stay healthy and talk to your doctor. Make sure that you're healthy enough to be starting any kind of strenuous exercise routine, and then talk to a coach and try to find a training plan that works for you. That is the key thing. My plan works for me the way it is because I've spent, many years at this point learning how my body works, learning where that line for me actually is, so that I know I can get up to it and not cross it, because I've crossed it many times. All right, everyone, lace up, get out there, be safe, have a good week. Talk to you next time.